We've had a little bit of a break from chuck wagon action, but it will be starting up once again tonight in Frog Lake. Joining me, as always, is Greg Buchanan, the Vice President of the CPCA. And so thank you so much for joining me once again, Greg.
Thanks for having me again, Thomas.
And so, Greg, the NACC and the Rangeland Derby down at the Calgary Stampede were 2-week-long shows, so it was quite a grueling show for all of our drivers. Then they got a 1-week break. Tell me how important that break is here, and especially been talking about barn management throughout the entire season. How important was that 1-week break for each of our drivers?
Well, I think it's kind of important, for the drivers and the outriders and the horses, and not just the equine superstars. They get a little burnt out. Even the drivers and the outriders have to have it a little downtime too. You have 9 days, and the separation of those 4 and 5 for the North American Chuck Wagon Championship is huge. So they had a bit of a break in the midst of that show, be it just 2 days, but it was enough. And I think it's now they call it the dog days of summer, because now it's the second half of the season. You have the Calgary Stampede behind you, have the NACC behind you, and now it's time to focus in on winning a Canadian championship, focus in on where you want to be in the standings when it wraps up in August here in Lloyd.
And so, Greg, the Frog Lake is going to be a 5-day show, and we've been talking about barn management. How important is this Frog Lake and being able to continue to manage their horses, especially in these dog days of summer, as you called it?
So you have 5 days here in Frog Lake, 5 days in Poundmaker, so 10 days in 2 weeks. So 10 days in 14 days. So that's a lot of racing in a short period of time. So yes, barn management becomes key, and more than anything, it's almost like you kind of relate it to baseball. And you have your pitching staff, you have your lefties and you have your righties, and you're going to start a lefty against the right-handed batters. So you're kind of mapping out your pitching rotation in baseball. Well, that is what chuck wagon drivers do too. They map out their horses on a given show and what barrels they're coming off of and what they're going to hook.
And so Logan Gorse, Danny Ringette, Luke Tournier, and Devin Mitswing are holding those coveted top 4 spots, the places you want to be when the CPCA finals come up here in Lloydminster. And then just on the outside looking in, we've got DJ King, Dallas Dick, and a few other guys that are just on the outside. What are those guys who are wanting to try and grab those standing points and try and get into the top 4 doing, as well as the guys who do have those top 4 spots? What are they going to be looking to do here in Frog Lake and in the next few weeks of shows?
I think more than anything, and it's the same story that it is from the start of the season in Meadow Lake to the end of the season in Lloydminster. It's just you don't want to leave points on the table. Every day and every night is very vitally important to the point standings, and anything you leave on the table as in points, whether it be in June or July, really comes back to biting you know what come in August. So, and I think more than anything, you want to stay penalty free, and you want to, if you stay penalty free, good things can happen, and that's a story of the book in chuck wagon racing.
And then finally, Greg, tell me a little bit about the Frog Lake track, as well as a few of the local drivers and those drivers who are looking really good coming out of those big shows down at the NACC here in Lloyd and at the Rangeland Derby in Calgary.
You don't have to look too far. You look at Preston Faithful. He's coming off, an experience at the Calgary Stampede, his first ever Calgary Stampede, and it's a confidence builder. He got to race in front of 25 to 30,000 people on national TV. He's feeling great about his horses. He's feeling great about himself. So a confidence builder for him. He wants to do really well in Frog Lake, and look for him to really come out strong at his hometown track. And the other guy, of course, Luke Tournier, coming off a North American Chuck Wagon Championship, where he was dominant through those 9 days, winning day monies, winning the show, winning the aggregate. And then Dallas Stick comes off a day money win at the Calgary Stampede. So his confidence is sky high as well. So there's a lot of drivers out there, and that's a great thing for the CPCA. You don't know who's going to win day money on a given night, and you don't know going into Frog Lake on Wednesday.
Thank you so much for all the information, Greg, and we will be talking to you very soon about more CPCA action.
Thanks a lot, Thomas.